Hey y'all, I am starting a video here. Thought I'd talk about a little bit of what I'm doing here with this Fermi Paradox paper. I'm hopefully gonna publish this weekend. Started it this last Sunday. I had some coworkers talking about how they wish I would do more Hugh Man articles. For those who don't know, let me pull up my other Hugh Man article. And Hugh Man. The joke is that I thought it'd be really funny if I wrote a alien debunking paper, but by the fictional author Hugh Man, who, if you look at his about author section, he is a normal professor of business studies. He's not wearing a skin suit, and that is his real hair. So obviously, the joke is that he is an alien pretending to be a human, trying to convince other humans that aliens don't exist. If you can't figure that one out, I don't think he'd be watching this video. But anyway, the last articles I've written by him have kind of been clickbaity and didn't put too much work into it. And then I thought it'd be really funny if we wrote a re-examination of the Fermi Paradox under his voice and actually put some math to it, because the one issue I've always had with the Fermi Paradox, and specifically the Drake equation, which is if we have this many planets and solar systems, and this percentage would probably have life, and this percentage of life would probably become intelligent, and this percentage of intelligence would probably become spacefaring, then there's got to be thousands of aliens out there. Why don't we see any? Is well, those numbers aren't based in anything, and that's kind of, man. Anytime at work I'm doing modeling and sim work, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. Is there are so many probabilities that aren't based in anything. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity to write a Hugh Man article where Hugh Man tries to convince everyone that aliens don't exist by reevaluating the Drake equation and the Fermi paradox. I guess the Fermi paradox is more known than the Drake equation. But anyway, so he proves this, or proves that the Drake equation shows that there actually aren't a lot of aliens and life is very rare, by using alien data from his basically, I guess, intergalactic version of what's the Elon Musk intergalactic internet. I don't know. I might come up with a catchier name for it over the weekend. So I thought a funny way of going about this, which, maybe this is because I love using Markov processes, especially at work. If you're ever trying to analyze a multi-state process, this is the thing about Markov processes is people usually will simulate things using a Markov chain, and no one ever realizes that if you want to do if you're simulating a Markov chain and on the other side you're getting the probabilities based off of the results of that Markov chain, like, you save a lot of compute power by just leaving everything in the probabilities. So more or less, if you start off with your initial vector and then multiply by your state transition matrix and then never actually sample from it, then it stays in probability space, and, like, why would you even sample in the first place? I've never gotten that, and all of my papers haven't really been publicly releasable, so can't really brag about it too much. But anyway, yeah, if you ever have a bunch of time series data on a multi-state process, this is actually the method in this paper I'm going to put is actually a pretty decent method for turning that into a probability at the end state. So, what's an example? I can't think of an example. Well, the example is the Fermi paradox. let's say you have the states. There's a new star. Now we have to start a planet. Now we need biological life. Now we need intelligent life. Now we need a spacefaring civilization. Now, the one thing that everyone always screws up in a lot of modeling and sim work, I've always thought, is they never have the doom and they don't go backwards in time. And in most processes like this, you can go backwards or you can fail catastrophically, especially if it's time process and every moment you have a chance of failing. And I thought this was a good way of dealing with that because let's be honest, if we're applying the Drake equation to a bunch of planets, then like at any moment that planet could get wrecked by an asteroid, right? And I also put in, I'll go into this when I show the code, we have an option for intelligent life to go back to just biological life because of extinction level events. And then we also have societal stuff. So I didn't really do all of the Markov processes for this, but here's kind of an idea on how that works. Is so you have your technology tree. Technology, I think, usually goes in one direction. It's typically not lost. Oh, I gotta redo this with some colors. But in society, you can go forwards and backwards. And then also you can get trapped in doom states. Like, I figure this is a pretty good model for how human society has developed and will develop. Green is where we've been and are, and blue is where we are going. So we're starting with anarcho-capitalism, basically tribes living with no rules, might makes right, and then eventually get into anarcho-communism with like larger tribes and people exchanging values. Money's not really a thing. But I figure antiquity is another, or in society in antiquity is another funny way of saying mystic capitalism. Like ancient society was totally capitalistic, like way more libertarian than anything you could ever do today. Like people were trading slaves. It was nonsense, awfulness, no freedoms. Well, it was all of the freedoms existed, but when there's so much might makes right, sometimes you don't have as many freedoms unless you're very, very rich, i.e., capitalism. But you still had mysticism and the gods and stuff, so you could get doomed by choosing the wrong god. Eventually, you get into feudalism with mystic communism. You have your one dictator at the top. I'm filming myself. Wife just got home. So mystic communism, I say is feudalism, and you could choose the wrong monarch. Eventually, you get into constitutional capitalism and communism. And these are your unique doom states of Brave New World with capitalism and 1984 with communism. Then you get into cyberpunk world, which I figure is going to be capitalist at first and then communist eventually. And then, I don't know what spiritual capitalism and communism is, but I imagine you could get doomed if you have a pay-to-pay economy. It would really screw you up. And then state-enforced karma would probably just destroy the point of spiritual communism, I think. But anyway, a way of simulating it. So, according to Hugh Mann's galactic internet, there are humanoids, or at least he says humanoids, as humans call them, jellyfish people who basically form mech suits. The way I figure this is jellyfish were the first species on Earth and they still exist. So given enough time, I imagine they'd have some mech suits and then become intelligent people. I guess it's like they'd be like the Daleks in Doctor Who universe. And then fungal people are basically fungal zombies. So if you imagine Last of Us, at any moment an intelligent species that is capable of wielding technology could basically get hijacked by fungal zombie network. And then you have rock people. So I'll start with the humanoids because they all have different trade-offs. So I kind of modeled this off of us, obviously, but I fudged the numbers so that it would come to the conclusion that um, we are alone in the universe, or at least likely alone, because this is a Hugh Man paper after all. So we have the states: new star, planet form, biological life, multicellular life, and then three forms of complex life. I mean, obviously, if you were going to do this for real, I would do like a crazy hidden Markov model, except I don't know where you would get the data unless you're an intergalactic race. Then you have your different forms of intelligence and civilization, and then you have spacefaring, and then your doom probability. So I zero out some of the steps at different rates because it just made it more convenient. But honestly, I don't think it made it that much more convenient. Different plot colors. Go through. Every state has the same planetary doom. So at any point, supernova, asteroid can knock you out. And then after you get to state 8, which would be intelligent life, you could go extinct for some reason, which doesn't destroy the planet, but would destroy your civilization. So that's the probability. I figure it was something like 66 million years ago with the last asteroid, but I think I played around with that just to get it about right. We don't really know. You know, Hugh Man's argument is going to be we have a data point of 1, so we're probably really off. If you actually put in our numbers as a civilization, it actually comes out pretty positive. I think there was like a 20-30% chance of intelligent races given our conditions on a data point of 1. So filling it out, obviously very astronomical odds. Most of your transitions are going to be the similar state. Yada yada yada, going through multicellular life, really unlikely. Then we get into intelligence, and then societal doom. I have to keep the probabilities very low for advancing as we go forward because I use the different time steps, and basically this is like a geometric distribution on like what's the likeliness of getting a positive coin flip, basically. So we're going early civilization, advanced civilization. Now these are your different spacefaring whatevers, and basically once you have a transition matrix, you just in plot Markov. I had it where I just send in the transition matrix because that's all you really need to do. Then you just multiply the Markov's transition matrix by your initial state, which in this case is 100% chance of state 0, and do it over again a bunch of times, save all your probabilities, save your years, plot everything, and then let me grab what we have for humans. So obviously, for all planets, you are either just a planet with no life or the planet is destroyed. I fiddled around to make sure it was going to look like this on a stack plot. If you go into log space, however, it looks a little bit more interesting. So maybe 1 out of 1,000 might have biological life, and then of all of those, you have your intelligent life coming up at 10 to the negative 9th. Oh wait, this is our zombie states. Oh shoot. Okay, no, this is human. I just screwed up the title. So eventually it's gonna come around. So basically I fiddled with the numbers to make sure that we're not spacefaring until it's 10 to the negative 9th, because that's the estimated amount of habitable planets we have in the galaxy. And I mean, this is analysis. You set up the analysis to come up with the result that you want. Science in a corrupt age, I guess. So there's the human race. So for the fungal zombies, I mean, basically all these look the same unless you're the rock suit people. Oh, shoot, no, I just didn't change the state for the humans or the jellyfish people. So the jellyfish people have a larger amount of time to develop the mech suits, but once they have the mech suits, it's a shorter jump to the intelligent life that can be spacefaring. But the planetary doom probability is about the same, and I made their extinction doom a lot less because jellyfish are a lot harder to kill as an extinction level event. I think they were the first cellular organisms in the world, and they're still here. So I figure that would be interesting discussion. Okay, these are the real fungal zombies. Same with P Doom. So for this one, we have this amount of intelligent life. These should line up. Oh, right. Okay. I remember how this worked out. So because they were always there's always a chance that things go backwards, right? So really, it's as long as there's biological life, which is about the same, this is the probability that the fungal zombies take over. But then there's another gap between the zombies taking over and then the hive mind of the zombies becoming intelligent. But because it's a hive mind and not very adaptive, you might only have like a few hive minds per world. It takes a lot longer to become spacefaring. So that's the story on the fungal zombies. Now the rock people are interesting because they're made out of rocks. Their P-doom is almost non-existent because if the planet gets destroyed, they don't need air to breathe. They're made out of rocks and minerals. However, their ability to develop intelligence is a lot slower, or at least once they've gotten to their intelligent state, there's a huge gap between that and becoming spacefaring. However, they're probably the most likely to be spacefaring over a long amount of time. So anyway, I'm gonna get back to writing this, and y'all see how it goes.